Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share, and subscribe. This is a video in a series of videos that I'm putting out prior to the Delphi trial. These are all the videos that I made, not live streams, but videos that I made over the years regarding the Delphi case, starting all the way back on February 24th of 2017, where I made the first Flow of the Crime video. That's the one that Robert Ives, the prosecutor at the time, contacted me based on. Now, I'm going to be putting these out all in, big chunks of videos, and I put the date on the screen that indicates when the video was made. I was supposed to go to the trial that's coming up. I had my reservations and everything set up for the first time the trial was supposed to happen. But now I am not able to make it to the trial. Unfortunately, I feel bad because it's one that I've covered for 7 years and really want to be there, but I'm not able to be there. And not only that, the odds of getting in while you were there, getting in as a public member of the public, is very slim. There's only like 10 to 15 seats total available for all the people that are going to be waiting outside. All right, so we're going to be playing those right now, and I'm going to have the same intro on each video, so just prepare yourself. It's like a 2-hour video. You can move it around, skip it, do whatever you feel like doing, but these are all the videos over the years. So thank you all very much for watching, and let's get started right now. Hello, this is Grant Hughes. Today's video is going to be on the 43 seconds video that was shot on Liberty German's cell phone during the brutal murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German on February 13, 2017. The video was filmed at approximately 2:13 p.m. In the Ron Logan search warrant, we are given information about the location and time. So this was 43-second video taken on Liberty German's cell phone. We also realize now, and if you've listened to my channel, we've known that since the beginning, that the video was recorded on her phone, and they actually retrieved the video from her phone, not the cloud. And it says right here, 43-second video taken on Liberty German's cell phone, where the suspect follows the victims as they're walking on the Monon High Bridge Trail. So what they're saying also is that the killer came across the bridge and followed them there. He wasn't on the southeast side, passed them, turn around, and then, quote, follow them. They believe that he followed them across the bridge. Now, there is a video that was put out by Delphi After Dark, and they went out there, I believe, in April of this year and filmed the entire walk across the bridge, only stopping twice for a total of 25 seconds. They were able to walk across the bridge at a rapid pace in 4 minutes and 9 seconds. That is including the stopping for 25 seconds. So, around 3 minutes and 45 seconds or so is how long it took them to cross the bridge if they had just continually walked. Now, they're not sprinting or anything. They're just walking really quickly. We have known that it only takes that amount of time for quite a while. Back in 2017 in March, a friend of mine named Beth, she walked across in less than like 3 minutes and 30 seconds. She walked really quickly, got all the way across. You can do that. That is also what is interesting, is how quickly somebody can do it if they're committed. And as we'll see in this video, at 2:07, there's a photograph taken by Libby of Abby on the bridge. And then at 2:13, 6 minutes later, they're at the other end of the bridge, and they're just arriving there because Abby is still completing her journey across the bridge. She gets behind Libby, and then the killer is right on him and says, "Hey guys," and then passes them and then says, "Down the hill." And then apparently that's around the time the video ends. Okay, so what we'll do in a few minutes is we'll analyze how long it takes to get from where the killer is filmed, started to be filmed. It's about 60 feet away. And how long that takes to walk to the end of the bridge. And then we'll maybe add 5 seconds onto that. And then from where he was first filmed that we see, we can go back however many seconds it is, 15, 20 seconds, and see where he likely was when Libby started filming. They just didn't show us that portion because it's way too blurry. The farther back somebody is and the more motion the camera has, they're almost completely unrecognizable. They're showing us the best video that they can. Okay, now let's take a look at just the area in general here. Here's a cell tower right here. You can see the shadow from it. Very close to Ron Logan's house. On the bridge here, there'd be absolutely no problem with cell coverage. I have friends that were out there and we were communicating on the phone back in March of 2017, and they would show me a shot and I say, no, it's a little bit further, and we'd figure out exactly where each of the images that were on the bridge were filmed. Okay, so again, that's the cell tower right there and Ron Logan's house. And here's the bridge right here. And the girls are dropped off right there. There's a bench here and a bench right there. So when the girls got dropped off, was the killer sitting on this bench or this bench? We don't know, but it's possible that they saw him there and then they had to kill an hour, hour and a half of time. So they walk down, they get on the bridge, they start filming and, having fun. They're just kind of, looks like they're whimsically going across the bridge, taking photos and doing their thing, but they probably looked back at one point and saw that this guy was coming and then tried to get off as quickly as they could, but they're not very quick because Abby had never been on the bridge, so she walks really slow and methodically, and it took her 6 minutes to get across the bridge from, let's see, right around in this area, which is about 40% of the way across. It took them 6 minutes to get here, but the killer could start right here and get all the way across in 3 minutes and 45 seconds, according to the Delphi After Dark video. You guys should go check it out. So if we go back to here, this is, the video starts like this. I'm not going to play the whole video. I'm just going to kind of scrub through it. So it starts right here and right in this area. So after it passes, let's see, so platform 1 is on the right there. Then platform 2, this is one of the times he stops, turns around and looks a little bit. And right now he's at platform 2. And then just a little bit past platform 2 is the first photograph, and you'll see it right here. You can see that this completely matches up. This matches up with this right here and this whole area right there. So that is where the first photograph was taken of the full length of the bridge. Then after that, you can see there's a platform off in the background there on the right. That's platform number 3. And as Abby approaches platform 3, Libby's already in front of her. And I believe Libby was in front of Abby the entire time across the bridge. Libby gets onto the platform here. And then she turns around and photographs Abby as she is walking across the bridge. And I believe this part right here is right there. This whole damaged area there is the same portion right there. And this is where Abby's standing in this photograph over here. It's just from the other direction. So imagine, if you would, that Libby is standing on this platform filming back towards us and then taking this photograph. Then Libby steps off and they both start going down across the bridge. Now maybe a little bit after that is when they may have noticed somebody coming towards them. So in the Delphi After Dark video, he continues across the bridge. And then he does another portion where he stops for about 12 seconds again. And then there's platform 6 right there. And then just past platform 6, right around in, I believe it's, I think I passed it, right back So there's platform, yeah, there it was right there. Right in this area is where we start seeing the killer being videotaped. So he's about 60 feet away at that point. All right, so just on the video that I'm watching right here, it's not exactly the same numbers because I paused the video and so forth, but on this portion we'll be able to count. So we are at 4 minutes and 22 seconds. Four minutes and 22 seconds. And we're, again, the video is 43 seconds long. So 4:22. And then him walking at that same pace to get to right there, it is 4 minutes and 38. So that took 16 seconds. All right, so let's add 5 seconds just as, maybe walked a little bit slower and there was some other time that he took after he got off. Let's add 5 seconds. So 16 plus 5, make that 21 seconds. So that means we need 22 more seconds. All right, so let's go backwards. And now we can see approximately where he may have been. Let me get rid of this. Sorry about that. I left the markers on the screen there. So hold on. We're going to the end of the bridge. Right there. I'll just get back to where we were here. We were right after you pass platform 6. And we're going to go backwards 22 seconds after we get to the spot where he's being filmed. So he's being filmed about right in here, okay? So 22 seconds backwards would put us on this version at the 4-minute mark. But that's because I paused it, inserted some images, so it lengthened it out. It's not accurate in terms of the whole video is only 4 minutes and 9 seconds. So here's what's crazy is look how far back it could have been. I mean, we're going back to 4-minute mark is right there. So the person could have been clear back here when she turned the camera on because she sees this guy in the distance coming towards them. Don't you find that interesting? So from this point right here to the end of the bridge is 43 seconds. And not even 43 seconds, it's 38 because we added 5, right? So look how fast, look, this is an actual speed as he's walking, just quickly walking. He's obviously got a GoPro or something with stabilization, so you can't tell he's moving his feet up and down. And look at that. I mean, it's crazy. So he's just really hustling, and just imagine in your head that there's Abby still on the bridge, maybe up there, and Libby's off the end of the bridge, kind of maybe encouraging Abby, and then Abby says, he's right behind me, and she goes, uh-huh. And then they're discussing which way to go and so forth. And then right about here, he says, guys. And they say, hey. And then he comes off and then down the hill. So right in this area. And this video is a little bit off my animation. I think she's already off and behind Libby at that point. Okay, so let's take another look at some other interesting information. If you take a look at this, this was the GPS coordinates, and I never really put this together until just now when I was looking at this again. And I was always thinking, man, those GPS coordinates they're not at the crime scene. The crime scene is right over here. But remember that it appears that the girls were moved. So as you can see right here, it says it also appears the girls' bodies were moved and staged. So let's say the girls made a run for it and they ran across the creek and they were both killed right in this area. And then they were moved this distance right here, which is really only 100 feet. So 30 yards, which really isn't that, maybe, well, 40 yards really. So it's not really that far. So maybe they were actually murdered here and then they were moved to this area. I don't know, but there is a discrepancy between the GPS coordinates. But it also makes sense because the girls are at the other end of the bridge right here. And if we were going to, let's see, let me move this up a little bit, just like that. And they were made to go down the hill. And then maybe at this point they made a run for it. I always thought the original intent was to take them down in this area, but maybe they made a run for it. And there's a shallow portion here, so it could have been more like this. and then they come downstream. It's still shallow, and then right here the bank isn't very high at all, and then maybe he caught them over here, killed them, and then he moves them to this area right here. You know, I guess we don't get to know the answer to that. Maybe someday we will, but it is possible, because if you look at some of the videos that people have taken out there, you can see that the bank is really high over here, but it really slopes down, and you can basically walk out of the water onto the land right here and come around, and that would be the more logical place to go. If you were somebody looking and trying to get away, you'd see a shallow portion, run, you know, go down that same shallow area, and then go up the bank that's shallow and try to get away. But maybe he caught up to them, killed them both, then moved them into the trees over here so they wouldn't easily be spotted, and staged them, posed their bodies when they were there. So it's absolutely unbelievable. But I think what I've just shown you guys is that because the killer could walk across a bridge in 3 minutes and 45 seconds, and the girls were obviously moving much slower than that, that this guy could have made up ground on them really quickly, and they weren't familiar with the area. They didn't realize going down the private drive and then following that might actually lead to where Abby lived at the time. And they just don't know where to go. And it's really wooded back there too. It's disorienting. They probably, when Libby would go out there, just cross the bridge and go back. You know, probably didn't go exploring around on this side too much. I appreciate that Delphi After Dark went out there and did it in a way that very few people ever have, is just get on there and start hustling across. He stopped twice, but it was a total of 25 seconds, and the video itself from the start of the bridge to the end was only 4 minutes and 9 seconds, which absolutely proves that if you're somebody up there and you're not really scared of heights and you're confident, you can just hustle across that bridge. And the killer was likely both of those. Okay? So thank you guys very much for watching. I'll probably go over this again later in the evening. Thank you very much, and until next time, be safe out there.
Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Downhill. Guys. 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 Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys. Downhill. Guys.
The Sheriff's Office and community members continue to look for two missing girls last seen near the Monon High Bridge Trail in Delphi.
Well, upset, confused, obviously very distraught, just worried. All I want to do is have the girls get home safe.
The girls were dropped off near the bridge to walk around and hang out. They had made arrangements to be picked up by a family member later in the afternoon. But when it came time for the girls to be picked up, they never showed up.
Getting scared now.
Abigail's mom, Anna Williams, has spent hours worrying, just hoping to hear her little girl is okay.
It's getting cold. Been out a long time. And don't know what time they ate last.
The girls haven't answered their phones since around the time they went missing.
Missing, abducted, we don't know for sure. Cell phone has been pinging around town here. There's a cell phone tower, but the ping was last noted about 5 or 6 hours ago. They say the phone's now dead.
The last Snapchat from one of the girls was from 2:07.
Text, I saw a text where they got delivered, but they never got read.
Very scary situation right now, and I just want her home.
Now many are on an extensive search to find them.
Ravines, ditches, trash cans for phones, any sign of girls, and anything we can find to find them.
Deputies, firefighters, and local police are checking every crevice and nook.
Looking for answers, looking for the girls.
But so are others from the community. And many of them say they won't stop looking, even if it takes
Daybreak, fall over with exhaustion. Honestly, I hope they're just hidden up somewhere, scared to be in trouble.
Alexis Moberger, News 18.
At 5 o'clock this morning, the Carroll County Sheriff's Department are setting to regroup and start to search back up for two missing girls. 13-year-old Abigail Williams and Liberty German were reported missing yesterday. The family dropped them off to go hiking near High Bridge. When the girls didn't show up for their arranged pickup time, family and friends started a search. They were last seen yesterday afternoon. Police, sheriffs, firefighters, and the Department of Natural Resources are all involved in the search for those teenagers right now.
But now at 4 o'clock, on the Now Indy, the big question are the two bodies. Are these the two missing teenage girls? This is what I can tell you right now. Police telling me right now that the bodies, at this point, they cannot identify the bodies of being that of Libby German and Abby Williams, the two girls missing since 1 o'clock yesterday. They were walking together along the old Monon Bridge just east of town. They did not meet a relative at their pickup location, so those relatives called police around 5:30. So a search has been going on throughout the day since yesterday. As I show you now these images from Skycam 6 in HD, the investigation, I am told, involves city and state police as well as the FBI.
Basically what we've got, we have found two bodies. Is that the Sugar Creek?
Deer Creek.
Deer Creek, sorry. In Deer Creek, about a mile east of town. We are investigating this as a crime scene. We suspect foul play. We have not made positive identification of the two bodies, so we're not going to be releasing any information on them at this point in time.
It's so sad. I feel terrible for them. I feel terrible for the whole family. It's an awful thing. I feel bad because I feel like, you know, of all places, Delphi is one of the safest places, and now to think something could have happened here in our own town, it's scary.
You know, we have a wonderful trail system here. That's one of the beautiful things about living here, and this is as horrible a thing as could happen to an asset like that for a town and to the children of our town.
Just go out on the trail and never come back.
I think from now on, kids on trails are going to have their moms and dads with them.
We have identified the bodies of the two females that were found out yesterday. The bodies have been positively identified as Abigail J. Williams, 13, of the Delphi area, and Liberty Rose Lynn German, 14, of the Delphi area. The two girls were reported missing on Monday, February 13th. The bodies were discovered about 12:15 on the 14th in the woods just east of town here by volunteers that helped in the search of the children after they were reported missing to the Carroll County Sheriff's Department.
Obviously, the reason we are here today is to give out information in the double homicide of Liberty German and Abigail Williams. On February 13th, Abigail Williams, 13, and Liberty German, 14, went on a hike at the Delphi Historic Trails. On February 13th, they were reported missing later in the afternoon when they failed to return to a pickup location as a family member returned to pick them up from their hike. After organized searches on February 14th, one of those search parties unfortunately found the bodies of the two teens. Evidence in this case has led investigators to believe this is a double homicide, and that's what we're investigating at this time.
Why Libby? Why Abby? Why Delphi? Why Carroll County? Why the region? Why the state? Why even in the nation? I say that because this is a classic example and a clear example that evil lives amongst us. Resources. It's unlikely that any of you will ever see, nor will we ever see or experience again, the level of resources that are attached to this investigation. To the people dressed funny like me and those that represent the law enforcement profession, please understand we're human beings just like you. I'd stand anywhere in the nation with people standing behind me. And I would suggest to you that every time something like this happens, a little piece of us dies as well. But I also want you to understand how committed we are as a collective one, and we will continue. This has been briefed all the way up to the director of the FBI, Director Comey, and Greg Mass is going to talk a little bit about that. I've had an opportunity to speak to my boss, Governor Eric Holcomb, a couple different times about this situation. And every time I do, I see this look that comes over his face, just like yours in this community's. And that's the unfortunate experience of experiencing evil. The poster in front of you. Someone knows who this individual is. Someone knows who this individual is. Is it a family member? Is it a neighbor? Is it an acquaintance? Is it an associate? Or maybe that one guy that lives over at that one place that just kind of not right. Maybe it's his jeans. Maybe it's his jacket or his sweatshirt. Maybe it's his shirt tail. Maybe it's his posture. Maybe it's the right hand in his pocket. As poor as this picture is, somebody knows. And if you're watching, we'll find you. We must keep our resolve for Libby and Abby, for this community, and frankly, to ensure that good trumps evil. And it will. You're going to hear more in just a minute about what we know. Do not discount the voice that you'll hear. We will stay committed with resolve very rarely exhibited with human behavior until this conclusion. Please be patient. Become our partners and communicate with us as often as you can. And now from a very humble servant, that's the most blessed guy on this planet to represent the profession that I represent, to Abby and Libby. It's my hope and my prayer that you're now experiencing God's promise of eternal peace.
To the members of the community, when I met with our behavioral analysis unit and their expertise and their experience, it is oftentimes even unwitting that a member of the community may have information that is germane to this investigation. And I'd like the community to go back 9 days and go back to the afternoon of February 13th, Monday, February 13th, and just think if you had an interaction with an individual who inexplicably canceled an appointment that you had together, or an individual called into work sick and canceled an important appointment or a social engagement, and at the time gave what would have been a plausible explanation. My cell phone broke, or I had a flat tire on my car. But in retrospect, that excuse no longer holds water. That may be important. Likely so are behavioral indicators that this individual may have exhibited since the afternoon of May 13th. Did this individual travel unexpectedly? Did they change their appearance? Did they shave their beard, cut their hair, change the color of their hair? The superintendent mentioned the clothes that this individual was wearing in the photo. Did they change the way they dress? Did their behavior change? Did their sleep pattern is different now? Did they start abusing drugs or alcohol whereas they would not have? Have they been anxious, nervous, irritable? Have they followed this case and what the media is putting out with a sense that is not normal? Have they had ongoing discussions regarding their whereabouts on that afternoon or thereafter?
A little over 3 weeks ago, February 13th, our girls went missing. On February 14th, they were found victims of a double homicide. This horrible crime has torn a hole in our families that'll never heal. It's the small things that seem to hurt the most. It's just natural to holler for them to come to dinner, or in the mornings to get up and get ready for school. Then expect them to come through the door after school. The silence when we don't hear their voice. Our girls were excited about the upcoming softball season. Just the day before all this happened, they had their equipment out playing catch, working on their batting in the backyard, going to the ball field with Anna to hone their skills for the upcoming season. But they'll never get to play a single inning again. There are too many ways to count how our lives will forever be impacted to share here today. I imagine most people listening that have raised or are raising children know how kids can be. A phrase that was jokingly attached to Libby and our family, from asking her to pick up her shoes, her school backpack, her coat, her first reply would almost always be, "I will, in a minute." We joked with her about this all the time. I believe if she were able to speak, she would ask people, please give her the 1 minute she always asked for, to really study the picture and listen to the audio clip. Someone out there knows this person or persons. He's someone's neighbor, coworker, family member, friend, husband, or acquaintance. Look for someone who's recently changed their appearance, cut their hair, shaved, or started wearing different clothes. Have they changed in some strange manner that just seems a little odd? If you think it could be, but then say, no, he's not like that, go with your initial instinct. Let law enforcement run that information and make that determination. However small it may seem, it is extremely vital to capture every tip we can get. Please, we need your help. Both the girls were heroes. They stuck together. I don't know exactly what happened out there that day, but I imagine there was probably an opportunity for one or both to separate and try to make a break different ways. But those girls loved each other. They were good friends. Neither one of them left each other's side. Both those girls are heroes in my book.
Very uncomfortable feeling. We're a year today. I said before, and I'm confident I'll say again, I hope that one day when we all meet Abby and Libby that they tell us you did well. That's my hope. We cannot allow evil to prevail. Our world is completely out of balance, and we cannot allow that to prevail. It's personal to me because those two young girls were everybody's daughter in this beautiful place that represents the very best of humanity. And look what happened. That's why it's very personal to me. And I just hope that one day I can look into the eyes of a murderer and ask him why. And I believe that we will. So I hope you hear me loud and clear. If you're watching this and you're responsible, today may be your day. It might be tomorrow, but I can guarantee you your day's coming. I don't ever remember having the voice of a person that we think is responsible, or having a sketch of the individual that we believe is responsible. So, if all of you closed your eyes for just a moment and you thought of a family member, but you didn't think of them from the neck up, you would know how they stand and the clothes they wore and their posture. You would know that voice. I would know it if it was my father, just like you would know it if it was yours. Somebody out there knows who this person is. And fortunately, I'm not going to say unfortunately, fortunately, we have such a relationship with you that you've kept this front and center. We're seeking the public's help to identify the driver of a vehicle that was parked at the old CPS DCS welfare building in the city of Delphi that was abandoned on the east side of County Road 300 North next to the Hoosier Heartland Highway between the hours of noon to 5 on February 14th, 2017. If you were parked there or know who was parked there, please contact the officers at the command post at the Delphi City building. We are releasing additional portions of the audio recording from that day. Please keep in mind, the person talking is one person and is the person on the bridge with the girls. This is not two different people speaking. Please listen to it very, very carefully. We are also releasing video recovered from Libby's phone. This video has never before been previously released. The video shows a suspect walking on the bridge. When you see the video, watch the person's mannerisms as they walk. Watch the mannerisms as he walks. Do you recognize the mannerisms as being someone that you might know? Remember, he is walking on the former railroad bridge. Because of the deteriorated condition of the bridge, the suspect is not walking naturally due to the spacing between the ties. During the course of this investigation, we have concluded the first sketch released will become secondary as of today. The result of the new information and intelligence over time leads us to believe the sketch, which you will see shortly, is the person responsible for the murders of these two little girls. We also believe this person is from Delphi, currently or has previously lived here, visits Delphi on a regular basis, or works here. We believe this person is currently between the age range of 18 and 40, but might appear younger than his true age, directly to the killer, who may be in this room. We believe you are hiding in plain sight. For more than 2 years, you never thought we would shift gears to a different investigative strategy, but we have. We likely have interviewed you or someone close to you. We know that this is about power to you, and you want to know what we know. And one day, you will. A question to you. What will those closest to you think of when they find out that you brutally murdered two little girls? 2 children. Only a coward would do such a thing. We are confident that you have told someone what you have done. Or at the very least, they know because of how different you are since the murders. We try so hard to understand how a person could do something like this to two children. I recently watched a movie called The Shack. And there's also a book that talks so well about evil, about death, and about eternity. To the murderer, I believe you have just a little bit of a conscience left. And I can assure you that how you left them in that woods is not what they're experiencing today. I just want the family to know that when I take my last breath on this earth, I'll be thinking of them. And I can tell you on behalf of the sheriff and the police chief, so many other partners that have stood with us over this period of time, that we will not stop.
Guys. Down there. Guys. Down there. Guys. Down there.
My name is Sergeant Jeremy Piers, the Public Information Officer with the Indiana State Police out of Lafayette Post. While investigating the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German, detectives with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office and the Indiana State Police have uncovered an online profile named Anthony Schatz. This profile was being used from 2016 to 2017 on social media applications, including but not limited to Snapchat and Instagram. The fictitious Anthony Schatz profile used images of a known male model and portrayed himself as being extremely wealthy and owning numerous sports cars. The creator of the fictitious profile used this information while communicating with juvenile females to solicit nude images, obtain their address, and attempt to meet with them. Pictured on your screen, you'll see images of the known male model and images of the fictitious profile sent to the underage females. We have already identified the male in these images that were used by Anthony Schatz. The male in the photo is not the person of interest in the investigation. Detectives are seeking information about the person who created the Anthony Schatz profile. Investigators would like any individual who communicated, met, or attempted to meet the Anthony Schatz profile to contact law enforcement by utilizing the tip email, Abby and Libby tip at cacoshrf.com. Please provide as much information as you possibly can. For example, when you communicated with Anthony Schatz, how you communicated with the profile, what social media applications the account used, and if Anthony Schatz attempted to meet you or obtain your address. If you have saved images or conversations with Anthony Schatz profile, please attach them to your email. Again, if you have any information, please contact law enforcement by utilizing the tip email, Abby and Libby tip at cacoshrf.com. Thank you.
Court documents last week that showed Kagan Klein admitted in February 2017 that he started the fake profile and that he used it to get more than 100 sexual pictures and videos of young girls. That interview happened February 25th, 2017, just 12 days after the murders of Abby Williams and Libby German. But I also discovered it would take until August 2020 for Klein to be arrested.
Well, of course I question why, but I also don't have all the information in front of me and the stuff that they were poised, or positioned up against. So I won't question that, at least at this point in time. Now, if I find out something different, I have no problem calling them out. And all those investigators know that, from Doug Carter on down. He knows me, and
I have no problem calling them out.
After our reporting, state police issued a statement Monday acknowledging the delay. They say they've conducted dozens of secondary investigations based on information in the murders of Abby and Libby. It goes on to say the information we had, have, and continue to receive concerning Klein has ebbed and flowed over these last few years, and that once the Indiana State Police presented the criminal case to the Miami County prosecutor in June of 2020, immediate action was taken by both the Indiana State Police and the Miami County Prosecutor's Office, which ultimately resulted in Klein's arrest.
We're following a developing story out of Peru tonight. Indiana State Police searching the Wabash River, and it may be connected to the case surrounding Kegan Kline.
News 8's Cody Adams joins us now live from Peru, where police were searching. Cody.
Yeah, it was here at Wabash River. We're on the bridge right across from the Kelly Avenue Bridge where ISP was searching earlier today. Our partners, the Murder Sheet podcast, shared photos showing divers in the Wabash River near the nickel plate bridges for motorists and pedestrians. State police has placed flags marking spots in the river where they had been searching. Court records unsealed last week show state police had court permission on August 19th to take Klein out of the Miami County Jail in Peru, but would not specify why. The Murder Sheet reports it was for a search of the river. Court documents also say Klein was in negotiations with prosecutors, leading to a delay in his next court appearance.
A lot more attention being given to that side of the bridge.
Danny Gill says he is on this bridge over the Wabash River a couple times a week. He is documenting the search of the river on his YouTube channel called Famously Unfamous. Gill says over the past 5 weeks, a team of 10 to 15 people from state police have meticulously searched the river. The search started on the west side of the Nickel Plate Bridge and has progressed about 400 yards past. The searchers have placed poles topped with red flags as they move along the river.
Right where you're standing, they set up a tripod, like a surveyor's tripod, and had a guy standing out with like a surveyor's stick, and they marked out each little area.
So and they've surveyed it, right?
They've surveyed it, yes. Took pictures, for crime scene probably.
That was on September 2nd, and later that same day, he did capture video of state police using a drone over the river. Then earlier this week, more eyes in the sky.
Yesterday, a state police helicopter did fly over. It did, I don't know if it was a figure eight or two circles, and then it headed straight south. And I did look it up on Flight Tracker, and it was registered Indiana State Police.
The search began around August 19th. That's the same time that court records show Kegan Kline was released to the custody of state police. In the order originally sealed to the public, it did not specify the exact reason, and state police would not comment on why to iTeam8. 2 court filings last month by Kline's lawyers say that he is exploring other legal options and is in negotiation with the prosecutor. But the Murder Sheet podcast reports Kline was present for a search of the river. I went to Kline's father's house, it is not far from the bridge, hoping that he might share some insight in the search. No one answered the door.
Tonight, police confirmed that the search is over, but the big question still looms. Is it connected to the murders of Abby and Libby in Delphi? iTeam8's Richard Essex is on the case for us again tonight.
A spokesperson for the Indiana State Police told me that the search of the Wabash River has concluded. This is the first time the state police has actually acknowledged that they were searching, but they wouldn't say what they were looking for.
We had sources who did tell us that it was Delphi related.
As of today, police have not announced any arrests associated with the Delphi murders. Kegan Kline is due in court in late October on 30 child pornography charges.
Cable snaps. Cable snaps. There's the wheelchair coming up. Cable snaps. There's the wheelchair coming up. Cable snaps.
Guys,
Cable snaps.
guys, guys,
Cable snaps.
guys,
Cable snaps.
guys,
Cable snaps.
guys,
Hello, this is Grant Hughes. The other day I put out a video comparing Richard Allen to the person people refer to as the bridge guy.
Cable snaps. Cable snaps. There's the whale shark coming up.
I think they're one and the same person, and I also believe law enforcement knows that as well, and I think Doug Carter actually confirmed that today. So let's listen to Doug Carter's comment on Wish TV.
A much younger man. That guy and that guy, there's a lot of similarities. How did we get from here to here?
Well, I think that, remember, I've said from the very beginning, since 2017, a sketch is a sketch, it's not a photograph. That's the first time I've seen that.
Just realize that when Doug Carter said he's never seen that, it wasn't because he hadn't seen the sketch before. He just hasn't seen the comparison, having Richard Allen in the middle and both sketches on the side, okay? The reporter didn't seem to realize that's what he meant as well. Okay, obviously Carter has seen both sketches. He was actually the one in the 2019 press conference. That's when it was presented, the newer, younger looking sketch. That was actually the first one created. But the first one released was the older individual with the goatee. Okay, so let's continue to listen.
Really?
Yeah, and I've also indicated over time that I think once we get to where we are today, we'll be able to look at the similarities of the two sketches and make a photograph, which will be Richard Allen.
A much younger man. That guy and that guy, there's a lot of similarities. How did we get from here to here?
Well, I think that, remember, I've said from the very beginning, since 2017, a sketch is a sketch, it's not a photograph. That's the first time I've seen that.
Really?
Yeah, and I've also indicated over time that I think once we get to where we are today, we'll be able to look at the similarities of the two sketches and make a photograph, which will be Richard Allen.
So I think if you listen carefully to what Doug Carter said, he literally points out Richard Allen as being the combination of the two sketches. They've said before that the sketch is who they believe is the person on the bridge. And when you look at the comparison video that I made, he looks exactly similar in structure and height, and even his voice has a similar cadence. It's hard to tell because the recording on the gondola of Richard Allen is a lot better quality than the enhanced audio file in the Delphi case. And there's a lot more sounds going on in the background, the crunching of the gravel and leaves at the end of the bridge. Okay, so that's all I had for you guys. Thank you very much for watching. Hit that like button and subscribe. Thank you very much. And be safe out there. Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates. Wish TV has just put out an article that says, source, the investigators have known for years that the Delphi suspect was on the Monon High Bridge the day Abby and Libby were killed. We've known that was something that had come out. It was recently, I think, put in a Fox 59 article. But this is the part that's new. Richard Allen, the man arrested in 2017 double murder of Abigail Williams in Liberty, German, near Delphi, told a state conservation officer he was in the area on the day of the killings, but his report may have been considered unfounded, a police source tells iTeam8. Allen, a 50-year-old resident of Delphi, went to the conservation officer right after the murders on February 13, 2017, and said he was on the Monon High Bridge that afternoon, but didn't see the girls, the source says. Williams and German were dropped off near the bridge on the day of the murders. Their bodies were found the next day. Allen's statement was forgotten until recently, when Indiana State Police became frustrated with the status of the Delphi investigation and asked a group of investigators to look over files related to the case. Investigators believe Allen is the man on the bridge, as I've said many times, in the cell phone video and in sketches released by police, the source tells iTeam8. Allen was recently moved from the White County Jail to state-run facility for his own safety. All right. So anyways, I think this new information does point more into the lone wolf category for sure, because they're not saying that information from Kagan Klein led them to look back at the old files. It's literally, it was almost a shot in the dark. They were just looking at the old files. They found a reference to Richard Allen, started looking into him, and boom, they are where they are today in the case. So that definitely is a pretty big notch in the favor of the lone wolf killer. The lone wolf killer matches what I thought for 5 years until the Kagan Klein information came out. I originally had thought that the killer in the Delphi case was a person who blends into society, has a wife and kids, is between like 35 and 50, and lived within 15 to 20 miles of Delphi. Well, it turns out he lived right in the town there. That's something that I wasn't really expecting. It seems like somebody like that would have been noticed a long time ago. However, you got to admit the sketches didn't look much like him at all, since they were right next to him all the time, and people didn't question whether or not the sketch was Richard Allen. All right? So that's where we're at now. Of course, we'll be talking about this later in the evening, because I think this does start pointing more towards the lone wolf killer theory. I really did believe that it had to be related to the Kagan Klein information, because the odds of a catfishing account communicating with Libby's phone on the day of the murders and then telling one of Libby's friends that he was supposed to meet her that day, and the only reason he didn't get to meet with her that day is because some other random killer killed her. I mean, that is absolutely incredible to me, yet possible. All right, so thank you very much for watching, and check out the channel later. And please hit the like, share, and subscribe, and become a channel member. Thank you very much, and until next time, be safe out there.
Can tell you what I saw was the vehicle that they haven't identified parked along the road, and I drove by that morning at 8:45. It was there, and I went to another town, did some work, and come back. And then that afternoon, I was retired from it now, but I was in pest control. I was scanning bait stations at the building right across the road from there. And at 2:07, round right in there, that vehicle was still there, and I thought, that's kind of odd. I never seen it there before or after, and I thought, wonder why they parked so far away from going in, if they were messing around to the Freedom Bridge or the trails or whatever, and I described it, sent pictures of close to what it is. It was an older model car, and I don't know why the police said a couple years later they wanted to know that they let it out that there was a vehicle parked over in that area between noon and 5. Well, it was there at 9:15 in the morning, and I believe it was an older vehicle. It's something like you'd see a guy catfishing on the river on Saturday morning. So I believe that must have been in there early. And he didn't go past any cameras. He's turned around, and I had a friend thought that worked at the one Cobb Mail, thought he saw it on the Interside Bridge, maybe around 3:30, 4 o'clock, like he might have been watching or something. I don't know, but
when you say the other side of the bridge, do you mean like the like on the other side of the Freedom Bridge over there?
Yeah, it may have been parked over there after I come through there, and.
Hey, could you tell, where when you said you saw the car parked over by the CPS building, was it on the road or kind of like back near
off the road, halfway between that building and the curve?
Okay. And was it sort of just face in, or was it kind of like parked ready to go?
Well, it was just about 2-3 foot off the side of the road.
I mean, was it was it head? Was it head?
Bridge.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. I think that was you were about to.
So,
answer.
but he turned around, or he would have got caught on. There's cameras at that one business a friend of mine got, farm store or something. So he's turned around. He never went on down the road and out that way. He turned around, avoided the camera.
There's a camera right on that building. I don't know if it was there at the time, but the building across the street from the CPS building.
Yeah, that's where I was working.
Oh, I have a friend that went out there, and I had him look for surveillance cameras, and the one that you mentioned a second ago, he found. It's right on the straightaway, and then he found the one. Then he found the one on that building right there where you were working. It's just
yeah.
But I don't know if that one is. Maybe it's not motion. If it's motion activated, it probably didn't pick him up. Because it was like 300 feet away or something like that.
Yeah. So.
How long do you think it was there? You think the car was parked at like 9 in the morning, you were saying?
9:15, and it was still there at, when I left the area about 2:15. Yeah. And then another guy thought he saw it on the other side about 3:30. Hello?
Hello, yeah, this is Grant Hughes. You sent me a text message yesterday. Or today, I don't know exactly when. But.
Yes.
Could you explain what you're referring to, just so I can hear it? I mean, it's hard to tell exactly.
It's brilliant. I was at the fair, and I saw that one of the officers I'd give some tips to. I got to asking him. I said, "Well, why was the time on this vehicle reported between noon and 5?" Well, I didn't know that there was another vehicle, and he said it was parked at that CPS building backed into where they couldn't see the license plate. And I asked, I never saw it when I was there around a little after 2 o'clock. That was news to me that there were two vehicles, and that's the one they were asking for the tips on, I guess, instead of the one I saw.
Oh, interesting.
They said, did it look anything like mine? Well, he said they don't even know what color it was. I thought, it sounded like there's more than one person reported it. I thought, I never saw it. I don't know how it could have been backed in there when all I saw was that other one. And it was in there at 9:15 in the morning when I drove by on the road and looked over. And then when I was actually working in that building, and it was pest control. I was scanning bait stations. I've turned it in. I've got the actual time. It shows exactly when I was around that building. There's no doubt as to when I was there because it shows the time I run my bait stations.
Yeah, you're saying the vehicle. You're saying the vehicle was in between CPS and the curve, so maybe about 100 feet down the road from the driveway to the CPS, or?
That's the one I saw.
Okay.
Off to the side of the road. It was odd that it wasn't at that building or on down closer to where they walk in. It was halfway between them on the right side.
On the right side, which direction on the right side?
Same size as the CPS building, only it
I
was
see.
150 yards down, but there's a curve in the road between there and where you go into that Freedom Bridge, and it was halfway between there.
Weird.
They don't know the color. They said it was suspicious. It was backed into where you couldn't see the license plate. Well, I never knew there was another vehicle spotted that day. I thought, and I didn't see it, and maybe it could have been hidden where I couldn't see it. If I couldn't see it at that time, that just makes me wonder how legitimate that. I don't know. That really puzzled me. That's why I suppose they said between noon and 5, because when I saw it, made more sense. It might have been that guy's because it was in there. I think he went in early, scouted things out. Too many people got in there, and then, just stayed in there till the situation arose. Yeah, facing the road or something, but it was backed up. It looked like it was kind of trying to be concealed. So, but the one I saw then, like I told you, he turned around. He was facing toward that, the way he walked in, but he turned the vehicle around because it didn't get caught on that building that's on around the corner on the camera, because they had a lot of vehicles they looked at.
I'll have to update everybody and say, well, there might be another vehicle.
Jeez. I don't know. Well, I said after all this time, and I know the law guys could say nothing to me, but I didn't know that there was supposedly another vehicle reported, but you'd think they knew the color of it. They couldn't. He said they couldn't even tell the color of it. I said it looked like the one I sent pictures of. Well, they didn't even know what color. Well, they just reported it was kind of parked back in there. It looked kind of suspicious the way it was parked. But,
yeah.
That's why I don't understand why I didn't see that vehicle that day over there.
Life is hard. Life is difficult. But nothing is harder than this. This man acting alone. With dexterity opens a door to a quiet house. Almost too quiet if you catch my drift. Then this single solitary man waves as if to communicate with higher powers. We all know who those higher powers are. Then this single solitary man with extreme dexterity signals the higher powers yet again, using what vaguely resembles the ASL version of the letter F. Did you hear what I said? The letter F. This man, acting alone, walks towards a conspicuous closet. Once at this conspicuous closet, incredibly with dexterity, he opens the closet door while simultaneously maneuvering his left hand and left arm out of the armhole of his jacket. He then used his dexterity to pull the left arm through the left armhole. Once the left arm was successfully pulled through the left armhole of the jacket, the man acting alone would have used his dexterity to begin moving his right arm and then hand out of the right armhole of the jacket. Wow! Once this single solitary man removed his jacket, he then, acting alone, using his dexterity, grabs a hanger, not an ordinary hanger, but a wooden hanger that could resemble the Illuminati eye of Providence. Once this single solitary man, acting alone, reveals the hanger, he, using his dexterity to cover up this symbol with his jacket, by first putting the hanger under the left shoulder of the jacket, and then the under left shoulder of the jacket. He then, with the seemingly mythic Thor-like ability, hangs the jacket in the closet. Astonishingly, this single solitary man, acting alone, grabs what appears to be a tan sweater from the closet, only briefly revealing another triangle guised as a hanger. This single solitary man, using his dexterity, shuts the closet door quickly with his left arm. Amazingly, as the door is shutting, this man acting alone maneuvered his right hand and right arm through the right armhole of the sweater. Then, as if he was a magician, acting alone, he, behind his back, maneuvers his left hand, then arm through the left armhole of the sweater. Then, in a move that only the Shaolin monks seem to have mastered, this man, acting alone using both hands, zipped the front of the sweater, tricking his would-be detractors who believed he would zip it all the way. Then this man, acting alone using his left leg, first steps forward and begins an arduous trek to a bench, a seemingly short trip, but was anything but. Trust me. Amazingly, 2 Converse sneakers were placed intentionally on this bench prior to this man arriving. Then this single, solitary man maneuvers his right leg over the top of his left leg. This man, then acting alone, quickly removes his right shoe and holds it up defiantly, but briefly. Once he has removed his right dress shoe, this man, using dexterity, grabs the right Converse sneaker that was conveniently placed on the bench and slides it on his right foot. Once the shoe is on his right foot, this single, solitary man, using dexterity, ties the right shoelaces, securing the right Converse sneaker to his right foot. Then this single, solitary man, with dexterity, maneuvers his left leg over the top of his right leg. This man, then acting alone, quickly removes his left dress shoe and tosses the left dress shoe to his left hand. Once his left dress shoe is removed, this man, using dexterity, grabs the left Converse sneaker that was conveniently placed on the bench and slides it on his left foot. Once the left Converse sneaker is on his left foot, this single, solitary man, using dexterity, ties the left shoelaces, securing the left Converse sneaker to his left foot. Not one single, solitary man could do this alone. Obviously, someone else was involved.
Hello, this is Grant Hughes of Grant Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Today's video is regarding the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German that took place on February 13th, 2017 at the Mononhigh Bridge in Delphi, Indiana between 2:30 and 3:30. This is a shortened version of yesterday's video where I discuss how Richard Allen is not telling the truth when in October of 2022, I believe it was October 13th, said that he was at the trails between noon and 1:30. Now, I previously said that the Odin document, the 130-page document of craziness, didn't mention the 3 girls. While it didn't say 3 girls, it mentioned the names of the 3 girls on page 118 in sort of a, they just sort of snuck it in, referring to maybe that's who they saw too. Okay, we'll go over that at the end here. But I feel like they just slipped it in there at the end. It had no relevance to the timing of Richard Allen. It was just that they may have seen the same person that Betsy Blair saw. Okay, that's all. That's the only reason they put it in there. So let's start off right here. It says, Richard Allen voluntarily was interviewed on October 13, 2022. Watching the videotaped interview, it is apparent that Richard thought he was being asked questions to help assist the police in solving the crime. In trying to provide Liggett and Mullen a timeline of when he was at the trail, Richard stated he arrived at the trail around noon. Later in the interview, Richard Allen told Liggett and Mullen that he probably left the trail around 1:30. All right, now this is different than what he told the conservation officer back in 2017. Through statements and photographs of the juvenile females and the statement of Betsy Blair, RV, BW, and AS were at the southeast edge of the trail at 12:43 p.m., east of the Freedom Bridge. So what that means is that those 3 girls were right here. Here's the bridge. Here's the Mononhigh Bridge. And the girls at 12:43 were right here. The 3 girls that were walking the trails. They took a photograph right there at 12:43. and they walked across the former railroad overpass over Old State Road 25 at 1:26 p.m. and before 1:46. So what they're saying is at 1:26 they were seen here, those three girls. So they walked from here, 12:43, and walked to one of these benches over here, either this bench or this bench, at 1:26, and then went over this bridge right here that goes over the Old State Road 25. So you go over the Freedom Bridge and then over this bridge, which went over the Old State Road 25, and that's when an individual named Betsy Blair was driving underneath and saw the three girls. There's actually four girls that were mentioned, but only three were interviewed. Perhaps one was too young. Betsy Blair's vehicle is seen on Hoosier Harvest Store video at 1:46 p.m. and leaving at 2:14, and she stated she only saw one adult male. RV, BWAS, and Betsy Blair described the male in similar manners, wearing similar clothing, leading investigators to believe all four saw the same male individual. Now here's what Richard Allen said on the statement that he made to Dan Doolin, the conservation officer. And here's a picture of Dan Doolin right here. So that's Dan Doolin. He's actually at the February, I think it's the 22nd major press conference. He's in the background there. Investigators reviewing prior tips encounter a tip narrative from an officer who interviewed Richard Allen in 2017. That narrative stated Mr. Allen was on the trail between 1:30 and 3:30. He parked at the old Farm Bureau building and walked to the new Freedom Bridge. While at the Freedom Bridge, he saw three females. He noted one was taller and had brown or black hair. He did not remember description, nor did he speak with them. He walked from the Freedom Bridge to the High Bridge. He did not see anybody, although he stated he was watching a stock ticker on his phone as he walked. He stated there were vehicles parked at the High Bridge trailhead, however, did not pay attention to them. He did not take any photos or video. Now, it'd be kind of interesting, I mean, when he was walking by, how did he look over and see vehicles parked there? You know, when he was walking on the trail, he turned to the left. Why would he be looking in that direction? It's kind of far back, you know, 60 yards, 70 yards, something like that. I guess we could take a look at it. So it'd be right here as he's walking. He looks over here and he could see that there was a couple cars, he claims. I think he might have seen those cars on the way back. So this is, in terms of yards, is 72 yards. And he's walking this direction, and somehow he looks over there and he says he saw two cars parked there. Hard to know if that's reality or not. I do admit, though, that time of year, there aren't a lot of leaves on the trees, so you might be able to see through. But it's kind of a strange memory to have that he remembers seeing a couple cars parked there. Now, he does say that he was looking at stock tickers. Now, if that's true, then his phone should ping off of a tower in that area. Amazingly, though, if you draw a line from the cell tower to Richard Allen's home, it goes right over the Monon High Bridge. How strange is that? So if you go up here, and the cell tower is right there. I actually did it already. There's a white line right there that goes all the way to Richard Allen's house. And if you follow the white line, it goes right over the center of the Monon High Bridge. So it's interesting, if there isn't another tower to triangulate, he could just claim that when his phone was pinging, and perhaps it did look at the stock tickers, that he was here if it helps him. But he could also claim he was at home on other pinging situations, right? I mean, look how crazy that is. So the arc would place him on the bridge. If he was right there, it'd be very consistent with being on the bridge when his phone pinged. Now, if there's any extra towers, they can use those to triangulate. One tower would actually work pretty good. If there was one over here, you could actually then pinpoint generally where they were. If there's a third, you could really dial that in. but there aren't a ton of cell towers in Delphi, Indiana. In an interview with Richard M. Allen, done on October 13, 2022, he again admits that he was in fact on the trails on February 13, 2017 and walked past 3 girls and continued on to the Monon High Bridge. He stated that he was physically on the bridge, and apparently even stated that he was on platform 1, according to the probable cause document. Betsy Blair saw an individual standing on platform 1, and the individual she saw, while she described him as younger with brown curly hair, she said that the individual in the Libby video, the bridge guy, as we've all called him, is the same person she saw. So I think it's more likely that her recollection of what he looked like is a little bit off. Okay, so we're going to get to that here in a minute. Richard Allen told investigators he was on the trail from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. that day. Video from Hoosier Harvest Store shows a vehicle that matches the description of Richard Allen's vehicle passing at 1:27 p.m. towards the former CPS building. The clothing he told investigators he was wearing matched the clothing of the male in Victim 2's video. And by the way, it matches absolutely perfectly. And a vehicle matching the description of his 2016 Ford Focus is seen at around 2:10 p.m., 2:14, and 2:28 p.m. Now, these individuals are Betsy Blair and 2 other people driving by who saw a car backed in the same place. They just have slightly different descriptions. You know, PT Cruiser, 2016 Ford Focus, and that's just their memory of it. They weren't out there thinking, boy, I better look and try to remember what this car was. It's just a darker vehicle that was backed in there, and it was parked unusually. It would be strange that if there was a car parked there unusually, and then later, after that car left, another car parked back in there unusually. Through his own admissions, Richard Allen walked the trails and eventually hiked to the Monon High Bridge and walked out onto the Monon High Bridge. Now, this next section here is regarding the 3 girls that were out there that Richard Allen himself said he passed, and this is what the 3 girls said. The male they encountered was walking from the Freedom Bridge. Well, that's exactly what Richard Allen said. He said he went to the Freedom Bridge, and right around that time, he passed the 3 girls, and then he went on and continued to the Monon High Bridge. One of the 3 girls, identified as Anna Spath, described the male as an older man walking on the trails as they were leaving, and she described him as kind of creepy. In a text from Anna to Kyla Brunette, Anne described the man as wearing like blue jeans and like really light blue jacket. His hair was gray, maybe a little brown, and he did not really show his face. Investigators Steve Mullen and Brent Ingram interviewed Anna, and she described the male as wearing a blue jacket and light blue faded blue jeans. The jacket was a canvas duck-type jacket. Rayleigh Voorhees was also in the group of 4 girls, and she said that she said hi to the man, but he just glared at them. She recalled him being in all black and something covering his mouth. Riley recalled telling her sister that someone was in a grumpy mood. She went on to describe him as not very tall and bigger build. She said he was not bigger than 5'10". Rayleigh went on to say in an interview that he was wearing a black hoodie, black jeans, and black boots. She said that he had his hands in his pockets. All right, now all 3 of those girls saw the same individual. They just have a different memory of what they saw because they didn't know it was going to be important. There wasn't 3 different people walking by. They're pretty consistent, though. He's wearing dark clothing. All right, now if we take a look at this video right here, on the trails in the shade, he's pretty dark. This would be a pretty dark outfit. All right, and this is just something I put together. I think it's possible he was wearing this brown hat that he was wearing when he was playing pool, and that's on his head. He said he was wearing head covering, not a baseball cap. I think there's a hoodie bunched up behind him. This might be the hat on his head. This is Richard Allen standing while on a hiking trip with his wife, I believe, and you can see that he has very, very similar body structure. And I believe that this portion down here is not a fanny pack like people think. I think it's the tail of a shirt that's sticking out underneath, and there might even be something in the pockets. You can see that this hand here, his left hand, is in his jean pocket. His right hand is up higher, and that's why his shoulder is up higher, because he's actually holding something up under the jacket, which I think is likely a gun that he's propping up under the jacket. And we know now that law enforcement believes he hears a click. We've known this for years. Unfortunately, people have, they just didn't know that that existed, but we've been saying it on my channel for a long time, that there was a click sound, and he told the girls to go down the hill, and even Abby said, "Is that a gun? He's got a gun." Right? So that information lends us to believe that he's got a gun. So he's likely propping it up right there, and then he pulls it out, tells him to go down the hill. All right. Riley went on to say in an interview that he was wearing a black hoodie, black jeans, and black boots. She said that he had his hands in his pockets. And you definitely see him with his hands in his pockets in the video. So they all saw the same person. They just describe him differently based on their memory. Some people are better and some people aren't as good. Through the investigation, there were interviews done with 3 of the 4 girls that were on the trails that day. The girls observed a male on the trails on February 13th that matched the description of the male in the video by Liberty German. The 3 girls, identified as Rayleigh Voorhees, Brianna Wilbur, and Anna Spath, encountered the male near a bench east of the Freedom Bridge. The girls were on the trail and were walking towards the Freedom Bridge to go home. The male they encountered was walking from the Freedom Bridge towards the Monon High Bridge. One of the 3 girls, identified as Anna Spath, described the male as an older man walking on the trails as they were leaving, and she described him as kind of creepy. In a text from Anna, Kyla Burnett, Anna described the man as wearing light blue jeans, like really light blue jacket, and his hair was gray, maybe a little brown. So what we know now is the 3 girls were right here at 12:43 at the bridge, and they walked this direction, and they didn't see anybody else. They were walking. They stopped at a bench here, took another photograph, which is time-stamped at 1:26. You see Richard Allen's vehicle drive by here at 1:27, just like he told the conservation officer. He parks his car here at 1:30, 1:29 or so, gets out. Probably about 1:35, he makes it to the Freedom Bridge right here, and that's when he encounters the 3 girls. He himself admits that he sees the 3 girls as he enters the area, and the 3 girls say as they were leaving the area, they passed him. Now, unless you're to believe that there's 3 other girls out there that never came forward, and they saw Richard Allen, and then these 3 girls that we've been talking about saw a different individual that looked just like Richard Allen. If that's what you are expecting people to believe, do you find that that is reasonable? So let me know in the comments what you think about that. In this next segment, this is Betsy Blair. She advised she walked to the Monon High Bridge and observed a male matching the one from Victim 2's video. She described the male she saw as a white male wearing blue jeans and a blue jean jacket. She advised he was standing on the first platform of the Monon High Bridge, approximately 50 feet from her. She advised she turned around at the bridge and continued her walk. She advised that approximately halfway between the bridge and the parking area across from the Mears farm, she passed 2 girls walking towards Monon High Bridge. She advised she believes the girls were Abby and Libby. Video from Hoosier Harvest Store shows at 1:49 a white car matching Kelsey German's vehicle traveling away from the entrance across from the Mears farm. Betsy advised she finished her walk and saw no other adults other than the male on the bridge. Her vehicle is seen on Hoosier Harvest Store video at 2:14 p.m., leaving westbound from the trails. Betsy advised when she was leaving, she noted a vehicle was parked in an odd manner at the old Child Protective Service building. She said it was not odd for a vehicle to be parked there, but she noticed it because it was backed in. And then it says Betsy Blair was shown a picture of the Monenhigh Bridge, the man on the Monenhigh Bridge. So this is the, the still frame that they put out from Libby's video. Betsy Blair was shown a picture of the individual on the Monenhigh Bridge, and she says that it's the same individual that she witnessed on the trails and on the bridge. All right, so now we're going to go to what it said in the Odin document. It says, on February 17, 2017, Betsy Blair met with State Police sketch artist Taylor D. Bryant and provided a description of the man she observed from 50 feet away on the Monenhigh Bridge. The same man that Liggett claimed in an affidavit was the killer. Betsy Blair told the sketch artist that the man Betsy, observed was a white male, age 20, had brown curly hair, and a medium build. Okay, so, but keep in mind that she also said that the person in Libby's video is the person that she saw. So this right here is almost exactly what Betsy Blair would have done. Came right here, turn left, and it's kind of a shaky video, so I'm just going to scrub it all the way to the end. And so this is generally the area. This is exactly what it looked like. This is a month after the murders right here. And she would have been walking, and she would have came right to this area here, the start of the bridge. And she says that the person was standing on platform 1, which is right there, and it turns out that the start of the bridge right here is exactly 50 feet from platform 1. So she likely came to right here, and the person was standing on that platform. And then she turned around and went back the way she came, probably walked to the Freedom Bridge, then turned around and then went back to where she parked her car. Okay, now right here, you can see a shot, again, of Bonnie. This is her husband right here. They were out here filming. And this is right at the start of the bridge where Betsy Blair turned around. Now look over there. You'll see that platform 1 is there and there's people on it. Now how clearly could you get a look at somebody's face over there 50 feet away? Now, in real life, there's no blur from the video or anything like that. But if they're standing over there and they're looking down at fish, is your memory going to be that great when you're not really thinking that you're going to see somebody? So she thinks she sees somebody that's younger with curly hair and so forth. But she ends up saying that it is the person that's in Libby's video. And in that video, you can tell when you watch it that it's not some younger person. Okay, but that's what she remembered seeing. And you can see right here that I think it would be difficult for somebody 50 feet away and likely not facing you to see exactly what their face looked like and their hair was curly, etc., etc., etc. My opinion is that that's just the memory she has, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's accurate because of how far away she was. However, she does say that the person she saw was the person in Libby's video, which matches exactly what Richard Allen himself said he was wearing. And the key to this video right here is to show that Richard Allen was there. He did get there at 1:30, and I think we've already proven that, because when you look up in the air here, again, 12:43, the girls are here. And then at 1:26, they took a picture on a bench over here. And as they were leaving, that's when they encountered Richard Allen, because he himself says he passed the same 3 girls on the way in. He saw them. So as he was coming in and they were leaving, which would have been after 1:26, obviously, he passed them, and he's heading this direction, and he goes to the Monenhigh Bridge. So therefore, the person that Betsy Blair sees is him. She just doesn't remember it clearly because she was 50 feet away, as I just showed you in that video. All right, so she said, oh, he had brown curly hair, medium build. All right. Then we go here. Investigators spoke with Sarah Carbaugh. Now, this is an individual that saw somebody, quote, muddy and bloody, who stated that she was traveling east on 300 North on February 13, 2022, and observed a male subject walking west on the north side of 300 North away from the Monenhigh Bridge. Sarah advised that the male subject was wearing a blue colored jacket and blue jeans and was muddy and bloody. She further stated that it appeared he had gotten into a fight. Investigators were able to determine from watching the video from the Hoosier Harvest store that Sarah Carbaugh was traveling on CR 300 North at 3:57. So around that time, she saw an individual that, according to this, matches Richard Allen. All right. Now, what this defense is trying to state is that that's not what Carbaugh stated in the 2017 interview. They make sure to say that because had it changed later, they don't want to bring that up. Sarah Carbaugh then observes a man walking down 300 North with a blue jacket and jeans, and that he's muddy and bloody, as if he had just been in a fight. She has shown a picture of the man on the bridge, and she said that is the same man she observed walking on 300 North. So again, in this instance, Sarah was shown a picture of Libby's video, the bridge guy, so to speak. I can't stand the name bridge guy, by the way. What do you guys think about that? I mean, bridge guy is so unnefarious sounding. It's just insane, right? But anyways, it made it easy, I guess. She's shown a picture of the bridge guy, and she says that it's the same man she observed walking on 300 North. So now you have Betsy Blair and Sarah Carbaugh both saying that the bridge guy is the person that they saw. And let's go to the next one. Now, this is what it says in the memorandum, the 130-page memorandum. In 2017, she did not say these things. This did not prevent Liggett from affirming under oath that Sarah Carbaugh did say those things. In fact, what Sarah Carbaugh actually told Liggett in 2017 was that she observed a man walking down the road wearing a tan coat whose clothes were muddy. Nowhere did Carbaugh claim in 2017 that the man she observed was wearing a blue coat. Nowhere did Carbaugh claim in 2017 that the man she observed was wearing bloody clothes. All right, so that's what she says. But now if we go back to the video here and you look at it, see, I don't know if you can see it in that shot right, I think it's right there, right here. Notice how the brown that people called a fanny pack is literally flat against the leg, the right thigh there. So what this is showing is that is actually a under, I don't know if it's a sweatshirt or something like that, maybe a zip-up sweatshirt underneath the blue jacket. And I think it's possible that after the murders, he took the blue jacket off and was walking with that as the tan jacket. Now, if you're curious what tan colors are, this is some of them right here. All right, so let's take a look at it. So you could say that maybe that's tan. Maybe that's what the person saw. That's what Sarah Carbaugh may have seen, was the tan under jacket that he has on in this image. I don't believe that is a fanny pack. Now, so if it's a fanny pack and he isn't wearing anything tan under there, then that would cause a problem, right, for that one witness. But I actually think that Sarah Carbaugh is the least important witness that there is in the case, right? Nobody saw Richard Allen again after. So here's the thing. On the map, you can see that Richard Allen was standing here. And if you're one of Richard Allen's groupies, you might say that it's some other guy. But either way, the person that was standing here wasn't seen by anybody else again. There were other people that showed up there. I think Cheyenne was one of them, and some other people, and none of them saw the same individual. And the reason is because this individual that was standing here is the one that followed Abby and Libby across the bridge. I believe 100% that was Richard Allen based on the timing. When he changed to noon to 1:30 in the October 13th, 2022 interview, it was because he knew at that point that time frame was very important. So he changed it miraculously to just before the entire time frame that he gave back in 2017. The reason in 2017 he gave that information is he thought somebody was going to identify him. You got this video out there. They've got a voice. And he thought 100% he was going to be identified. So he just wanted to see what they had on him. So he said, yeah, I was there from 1:30 to 3:30. And he thought they were going to say, yeah, Richard, we've got a video of you. But they didn't say that. So for years, he just sat around waiting and waiting and waiting, withering away, looking somewhat like Gollum over the years with the stress that he had, wondering why he hasn't been arrested yet. And then once he's looked into and there's a search warrant, he changes the information to 12 to 1:30, which doesn't make any sense because the three girls, all you really have to do is look at right here. The three girls were here at 1:26 and they were leaving. Richard Allen's vehicle drives by, parks over here, backs in, he gets out, walks. He admits that after going over this bridge, he walked by three girls and they saw him. There aren't another set of three girls that just never came forward, everybody. Richard Allen is that person. Okay? He admits it. The girls saw him. He just changed his time in 2022 in October to because he was nervous about putting himself back into the timeline of the crime. All right, everybody, so thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. How does Richard Allen avoid this? Now, I did also want to show you that in the Odin document, I call it, the memorandum, they did mention the three girls. So I had forgotten that it was mentioned in there because it was mentioned in a way that had nothing to do with the timeline. All right, so what they're trying to say in here is that Betsy Blair, the guy with she observed somebody with curly hair from 50 feet away, and they take that as absolute reality instead of realizing that she said that the person on the bridge in Libby's video is the person that she saw. She said it's because the man that Sarah Carbaugh observed on 300 North at 3:57 p.m. wasn't the same man that Betsy Blair saw on the bridge at 2 p.m. That's because Sarah Carbaugh says that the man is wearing a tan jacket, right? And so therefore it can't be the same person. It was a completely different man that had mud, not blood, on his clothing. Betsy Blair, remember Betsy Blair is the one that saw Richard Allen on platform 1. She saw a man, perhaps the same man that Rayleigh Voorhees, Bree Wilbur, and Anna Spath saw on the trail. Sarah Carbaugh observed completely different man. Okay, so that's the only mention of it, and you see how disingenuous that is? It doesn't say that Richard Allen saw Rayleigh Voorhees, Bree Wilbur, and Anna Spath. It doesn't say that at all. And it also doesn't say that they saw him coming in exactly matching the interview he gave with the conservation officer, Dan Doolin. All right, so that is where we're at here. Yes, it is mentioned on page 118, buried deep inside the Odin memorandum. But it's mentioned in a way that has nothing to do with what's really relevant about it. And that's why they didn't do that. Okay? What you have to also think to yourself is, what else is the defense leaving out of their memorandum that makes Richard Allen look even more guilty? I'm sure there's way more information that they left out. You can see by the way they treated the three girls situation here that they're not being honest with the way they're presenting their information. All right? And, you know, they might make the same claim about the prosecution because of the way that Betsy Blair and Sarah Carbaugh have described at particular times the suspect that they saw. But another thing that was not mentioned was that how each person, Betsy Blair, Sarah Carbaugh, and the three girls, all said that it matched the person that they saw on the bridge in Libby's video. So that's it, everybody. Let me know what you think in the comments. I appreciate you watching. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there. Hello, this is Gray Hughes of Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. I believe Richard Allen is the man on the bridge that forced Abby and Libby down the hill, and that led to their deaths. Here is why. I'm going to do a shortened version of the probable cause document in a much easier to digest format than just reading through it. On February 13, 2017, it was a sunny day in Delphi. The high temperature that day was 42 to 43 degrees. So it was chilly, but the sun makes people think it's warmer. So a lot of people remember back then that it was warm, and it did get extremely warm later in the week, I think up into the 60s even. On that day, Rayleigh, Brianna, and Anna were 3 of 4 girls that were on the trails together, and they were interviewed by law enforcement. At 12:43, a picture on Bree's phone was taken. This picture was taken right here at the start of the Monon High Bridge on the northwest portion of it. So it was right here. A photograph was taken at 12:43. Then at 1:26, another photograph was taken at a bench as they were heading out of the trail system. They were going to be going to the Freedom Bridge and then over Old Road 25 right there. So they were heading out and they stopped at a bench. I'll just choose this bench right here. It was 1:26. 1:27, just a minute later, a car that matched the vehicle that Richard Allen drives drove by the Hoosier Harvest Store camera right here, and that was at 1:27. Richard Allen told Dan Doolin he was on the trails from 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. and parked at the old Farm Bureau building. Later in October of 2022, he stated he parked his car on the side of an old building. There is no Farm Bureau building in the area, and investigators believe he is referring to the abandoned CPS building, and that belief is corroborated by the 1:27 Hoosier Harvest Store video showing a vehicle that matches the description of Richard Allen's vehicle driving west towards the abandoned CPS building. So a vehicle matching Richard Allen's vehicle drives by, and it's heading directly towards the abandoned CPS building. To further corroborate this timing is that the 3 girls, after taking the photograph at 1:26, are almost to the Freedom Bridge. And at that time, they pass an individual that matches Richard Allen's description. And that would be right in this area. So 1:26, on this bench right here, they take a photograph, and then they head this direction. And then right here, they likely ran into Richard Allen as he was coming in from the abandoned CPS building. He says he got there, he was there from 1:30 to 3:30. A vehicle matching his drives by at 1:27, heading towards the abandoned CPS building. And then, likely right around 1:35 p.m., they encounter Richard Allen as he's entering the trail system. And then after that, Richard Allen continues towards the Monon High Bridge, as he himself stated on October 13th, 2022. Richard Allen was interviewed again by investigators. He advised he was on the trails on February 13th, 2017. He stated he saw juvenile girls on the trails east of Freedom Bridge and that he went on to the Monon High Bridge. Richard Allen's own words indicate he saw the 3 girls as he arrived at the Freedom Bridge and was continuing on to the Monon High Bridge and not leaving at 1:30, as he stated in October of 2022. One of the 3 girls, named Anna, described the male as a kind of creepy and advised he was wearing like blue jeans, a like really light blue jacket, and his hair was gray, maybe a little brown, and he did not really show his face. She also stated that the jacket was duck canvas. Rayleigh, also one of the three girls, described the situation. She said hi to the male, but he just glared at them. She believed he was wearing all black and had something covering his mouth. She said he was not bigger than 5'10", black hoodie, black jeans, and black boots. Now the girls all say that they saw one individual. At 1:44 p.m., Betsy Blair drives under the old SR-25 bridge and sees the four girls walking over the bridge as she heads to the parking spot across from the Mears property. At 1:46 p.m., she passes the Hoosier Harvest Store camera. About 15 seconds later, she would park her car across from the Mears property where there is access to the trails. Betsy was there for exercise and got out of her car and walked towards the Monon High Bridge. So Betsy Blair is driving right here on Old Road 25, and as she's going underneath it, she sees the four girls. Three of them were interviewed. The four girls cross the Freedom Bridge and are going right over the old State Road 25 bridge as she's going underneath it. So it would have been about 1:44 when Betsy Blair is driving underneath the old State Road 25 bridge right here. 2 minutes later, she drives around like this and down and then crosses in front of the Hoosier Harvest Store video, and that would have been at 1:46. And then, like I was saying, about 15 seconds later would have parked over here at the parking spot across from the Mears property, which is right there. Between 1:43 and 1:50, given a 10 to 15 minute walking time, Richard Allen arrives at the Monon High Bridge. So he's walking, and Betsy Blair is coming around in this area like this, driving her car, and Richard Allen's already walking. He's likely around in this area right now, and he makes it to the bridge between 1:43 and 1:50. It just depends on how fast he walked. But given the fact that he parked at the abandoned CPS building, let me show you this image right here. The walking time from the Freedom Bridge to the start of the Monon High Bridge is 15 minutes, walking 3 miles an hour. Now, it sounds like Richard Allen was hustling. He was moving quicker. So let's say he was walking 4 miles an hour. Maybe it took him 13 minutes or 12 to 13 minutes to get there. And so that means if he passed the girls at 1:33 to 1:35, you add 12 minutes to that, it'd be around 1:45 to 1:50, where he ends up at the Monon High Bridge right here. So he's in front of Betsy Blair. He's about right here-ish when Betsy Blair parks her car, and then he makes it to the Monon High Bridge around 1:50, 1:45, 1:50. At 1:49 p.m., a white car matching Kelsey German's vehicle drives by the Hoosier Harvest Store camera. Just prior to that, Libby and Abby were dropped off at the parking lot across from the Mears property. Betsy Blair's vehicle is already parked there. Abby and Libby start walking on the trail and head towards the Monon High Bridge. They are behind Betsy Blair and Richard Allen. Richard Allen's already at the bridge, and Betsy Blair is approaching the bridge at this point, and Abby and Libby are just starting their journey on the trail. In the October 13, 2022 interview, Richard Allen told investigators that he was wearing blue jeans and a blue or black Carhartt jacket with a hood. He advised he may have been wearing some type of head covering as well. Richard Allen further stated he went out onto the Monon High Bridge to watch the fish. Later in his statement, he said he walked out to the first platform on the bridge. So that means he's saying that he walked out to platform number 1 right there. Now this says 1:55. That was just an estimate from before. I'm trying to dial it in a little bit better. I think it's around 1:50, 1:43 to 1:50. All right, it's probably somewhere in the middle is when Richard Allen got to the bridge. And then he makes his way out onto platform 1, At around 1:51 to 1:53, Betsy Blair would have arrived at the Monon High Bridge. This time could vary by a couple of minutes, as it takes 7 minutes at a 3-mile-an-hour walk. And here is a picture of it. So from right here to the start of the bridge, it's 7 minutes using Google Maps. And that's at 3 miles an hour. Now, Betsy Blair was there to exercise, so she could have done it quicker. So if her car got there at 1:46, she gets out of her car, immediately starts walking. That would be 1:53 that she gets to the bridge. But if she walked at 4 miles an hour, maybe it's closer to 1:51. So at around 1:51 to 1:53, Betsy Blair would have arrived at the Monon High Bridge. When she gets there, she sees a man wearing exactly what Richard Allen described himself as wearing, standing on platform 1 even. Betsy described him as wearing a blue duck canvas coat. This matches the jacket that Anna Spath described. Blair said that the male was standing on the first platform of the Monon High Bridge, approximately 50 feet away from her. Remember that Richard Allen said he walked out to the first platform on the bridge. So after she turned around, she heads west back towards the Freedom Bridge. Approximately halfway between the bridge and the Mears parking area, she passed 2 girls walking towards the High Bridge. Blair said that she believed it was Liberty German and Abigail Williams. This would likely be around 1:56 or 1:57. So right in this area right here, right around in there, Betsy Blair passes Abby and Libby. After Abby and Libby pass Betsy Blair, the only person on the trails they will encounter in front of them is a man that matches the clothing description that Richard Allen gave of himself. Abby and Libby would have encountered this man as they reached the bridge around 2 p.m. 2 digital Snapchat images from Libby's phone were uploaded to social media while they were enjoying their time on the bridge. The first photograph was taken just south of platform 2. It was taken likely around 2:03 to 2:04 and is facing southeast and shows nobody on the bridge. If you look in the background there, there's nobody on the bridge. At 2:07 p.m., Liberty took a picture facing northwest from platform 3 of Abby. The suspect, matching Richard Allen's clothing description, is not seen in this image. The suspect likely passed the girls near the start of the bridge and headed towards the Freedom Bridge, only traveling a short distance. He watched and waited for the girls to move across the bridge. Abby and Libby continue their journey across the bridge. So you look at this picture right here, and right in this area, Abby and Libby likely walk by who I believe is Richard Allen in this area right here. And he walks by them not to freak them out and be standing there. He walks this direction, and I think he waited somewhere around in this area right here. And he watched, and he waited, and the girls continued out onto the bridge. The first photograph of the full length of the bridge was taken right around in this area. The second one was taken on platform 3, and Abby's in the photograph back towards that direction. And then they continued to go across the bridge. And this is when I believe the killer made his move. So this is where the first photograph was taken, the full length of the bridge. And you can see it right there. There's nobody on the bridge in front of him there. Then after that, Libby continues onward. I think she was always in front of Abby. She was very comfortable on the bridge, been there many times. Then she goes on to platform 3 here and takes a photograph back towards Abby as she walks towards the southeast portion of the bridge. She's heading in that direction. And there's the photograph right there, and you can see behind there is no suspect or anybody in the background. And then they continue onward. All right, and now this is what I was talking about. I think at some point they saw the guy coming at him. You can see him in the background there. He was coming at them. All right, So he would have been following them across the bridge. They were quite a ways ahead of him, but he was walking very fast and caught up to them in about 3 minutes, I would say. He probably walked at a pace that he could get across the bridge in 3 to 4 minutes. It took Abby and Libby 6 minutes to get from that photograph to the end of the bridge, and you'll hear that here in a second. At 2:10 p.m., an individual named Terry Wilson from about 250 feet away observed a purple PT Cruiser or a small SUV vehicle parked on the south side of the old CPS building. And that would be right here. So he was driving his vehicle on the highway over here, and he looked across and saw what he thought looked like to be a purple PT Cruiser. All right, then at 2:13 p.m., just 6 minutes after the Snapchat image of Abby was taken, the same individual, matching Richard Allen's description of himself, is seen and heard near the end of a 43-second long video. This video was taken on the southeast end of the bridge by Libby, using her cell phone held down low and near her side. The male suspect is heard interacting with the girls, saying "guys," and then ordering them down the hill using what law enforcement believes to be a gun to control them. And we'll see that portion coming up here. Now, here it is. Abby's still on the bridge, and the suspect is really moving quick. I believe it's Richard Allen right here, moving very fast on the bridge. And when he gets to the bridge, he says, so he says, "Guys, down the hill," right then. So he has them go down the hill, and that would be right over here at the end of the bridge. Abby's still on the bridge. The bridge guy is actually past the 6th platform, about 60 feet away when the video was taken, and he catches right up to them and says, "Guys, down the hill." Has them go down the hill right there. All right. The man matching Richard Allen's clothing description of himself is not seen again on the trails after 2:13. This is because Richard Allen has taken the girls down the hill and across Deer Creek, where they were murdered. At around the same time of Libby's 43-second video, Betsy Blair arrives back at her car at 2:14. All right, so Betsy Blair, who had been here, I think, likely walked over to the Freedom Bridge and then back to her car, and you can see that in this map right here. So this timing here is from there all the way to the Freedom Bridge, so at the start of the Monenhigh Bridge to the Freedom Bridge and then back to the parking area is around 25 minutes at 3 miles an hour. But if she was there exercising, she would walk a little bit quicker, maybe 4 miles an hour, and the time is absolutely consistent. So let's just say it was 20 minutes, and I have Betsy Blair leaving the Monenhigh Bridge start at 1:53 or 1:51 to 1:53. You add 20 minutes to that, you're now at 2:11 to 2:13, and that's exactly the time she gets back to her car at 2:13, and she heads out of the area. So at 2:13, she gets back to her vehicle, which is parked right here, and then it goes by the Hoosiers Harvest Store camera at 2:14. Betsy Blair advised when she was leaving, she noted a vehicle was parked in an odd manner at the old Child Protective Service building. She said it was not odd for a vehicle to be parked there, but she noticed it was odd because of the manner it was parked, backed in near the building. At 2:27, Wesley McWhirter advised he remembered seeing a smaller, dark-colored car parked at the old CPS building. He described it as possibly being a smart car. He drives east past the Hoosier Harvest Store camera at 2:28. All right, so McWhirter, he drove by here probably at 2:27. He saw a car parked there, and he kept driving, and then he's seen on this camera here at 2:28. But here's the thing. So unless you believe that there are 3 different vehicles in an 18-minute period backed in oddly, one after another, then all saw the same smaller, dark SUV-like vehicle. And here's a picture of sort of an examples here. So here is the 2016 Ford Focus. This is a PT Cruiser. This is a smart car. The similarity is in the back, how it slants up like that. They're small SUVs. The smart car is tiny. But if you're driving by really fast and you just kind of remember the general shape, that might be something you remember. Nobody's thinking, boy, I better remember what type of car that was. I agree with law enforcement when they say they're consistent. And the reason I say that is because it is the same vehicle, right? Nobody believes that in an 18-minute period that 3 different vehicles backed in an odd manner in the same area. Nobody believes that. Okay? At 3:57 p.m., Sarah Carbaugh was traveling east on CR 300 North and observed an individual who appeared to have on the blue jacket or the tan hoodie that is underneath the blue jacket in Libby's 43-second video. He also appeared to be muddy and possibly bloody, and they looked like they had been in a fight. Early on in the investigation, a bullet shell was found between the bodies of Abby and Libby, but closer to Libby's. The ejection marks on this bullet match tests performed on Richard Allen's Sig Sauer model P226 .40 caliber pistol. Richard Allen is the man that Rayleigh, Brianna, and Anna crossed paths with. Richard Allen admits to seeing them. Richard Allen is the person that Betsy Blair saw on Platform 1, the platform that Richard Allen admitted to being on, looking at fish. Richard Allen is the person seen in Libby's 43-second video based on the precise timing and description of the clothing Richard Allen said he was wearing. Richard Allen is the person that Sarah Carbaugh witnessed after Richard Allen possibly took off his dark blue jacket. One of her accounts says he was wearing the blue jacket. Richard Allen confessed to the murders to his wife and mother-in-law. My opinion is that Richard Allen is the man on the bridge and therefore is the person who abducted Abby and Libby, which led to their murders. What do you guys think about this video? Let me know in the comments. I'm sure the people who think Richard Allen is innocent will come up with all kinds of crazy theories out there. It'll be absolutely amazing. So thank you very much for watching. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, be safe out there. And thank you all very much for watching. If you hit that like button and share the video and subscribe to the channel, that would be great. Leave a comment. That all helps out the algorithm. And at the end of this video, there will be a link on the screen to watch the next video in the series. Now, obviously, when it gets to the last video, that part of this message won't be valid. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. And until next time, be safe out there.